Benny. Go down 6 seconds. That's when they're going to say that Scully's supposed to call down, and I'm supposed to answer him. It's an incomplete pass, so he comes running back, and I meet him. I said, what do you got, George? He says, you're not going to believe this. I said, well, tell me. Maybe I will. He said, I've got all sides, but I forgot which team.
Okay.
Dear Lord, take care of us, and thank you for this morning's services.
Okay, stay out here till you hear the whistle, if you will. Dallas won the toss, chose to receive. Giants are kicking toward the scoreboard. Best of luck, man.
I'm Tommy Bell. And I've lived here in Lexington, Kentucky all my life. Have one son. I'm married. I'm practicing law in Lexington. I'm also a National Football League referee. That's my avocation. I do that on Saturday afternoon, leave here and work on Sunday afternoon, come back in my law office usually on Monday morning. Now that won't be exactly what we need, but it'll be something that we can use in regard to what we're going to do. And, you know, as I told you before, when I get out of the state, I tell them I'm the best lawyer in Kentucky, when you all know I'm just one of the best. You can just write this letter for me to Mr. Crump, telling me he has my vote for the Board of Directors for the Chamber of Commerce, and that Charlie Harris has called me on his behalf. And I would vote for him. And I'll vote for him in spite of Charlie Harris's call. Officiating has helped me in the practice of law, and I think the practice of law has helped me in being a good official. I think it's the point that we've mentioned many times about staying cool. I think you have to do that to be a good official, and I think you have to do that to be a good lawyer. And I think there's many, many facets of qualities that you need to be good in both that interlink. And many times I think I've drawn on my legal experience to help me on the field, and many times I've drawn on my refereeing experience to help me in the courtroom. Okay, this is a condemnation proceeding thing that I'd like to go in the Duncan state folder.
So if you've got shoulder pads that wide in front of you, now you're in legal pass blocking position here.
There's so many rules and regulations, it would be hard for me to set up and tell you how many there are. The basic enforcement spots are, of course, part of our Bible, and I have a book that we call, and we have not only the basic enforcement spots on rules like the forward pass, the kick, the scrimmage kick, the free kick, the running play, backward pass and lateral, and double fouls, and those things we have summarized, and as we call them, our Bible, really.
Next part of the enforcement spot during a running play is
Only the man that has the ball can advance it.
If a foul happens after the ball is snapped,
is an illegal forward pass.
If he fumbles it, he's the only one that can recover it and advance it unless it's touched by a defensive man.
but it ends up being a play where the
Spot of enforcement on an illegal forward pass.
If it's recovered by his own teammate, it comes back, Spotty fumbles, goes out in front of him, comes back, Spotty fumbles. Comes back, Spotty fumbles. Goes out behind him, comes in bounds spot. It goes out bounds in front of him, goes back, Spotty fumbles, goes out behind him, comes in bounds spot. Now, if you don't know that when it happens, you're in real trouble because you cannot sell it. Bee land on his nose and he reaches up to knock it off.
It's a 5-yard bee. We've got a 5-yard, that's good, almost a 5-yard bee sting, because we're not going to wait to see what he's wiping.
There are so many other rules, and it is tough for a player and a coach and an official to know all the rules and know them well, and you've got to do that. You have to work at it constantly.
All right. Here we go, Dean. blow this together.
We have a very much of a routine that we follow on our pregame conferences. We start at 6 o'clock usually on Saturday night and have dinner there, and we usually start at 7, hardly any later than 8 or 9 o'clock, looking at the game films of the week before that we worked. If we'd worked the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game the week before and are now working in Oakland, why, that night we were in Oakland, we'd look at the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh films, grading ourselves and looking at what New York has given us and what we feel like that we should do as far as mechanics and judgment calls. We have a play-by-play situation that is sent to us from New York with comments from either Nick Scorch, Mike Lisetsky, Jack Reeder, or Art McNally. These have to be answered in writing, and we write these back to them. And then if they do not like our comments on it and not satisfied, well, then they'll call the referee and want to know why. And we feel like looking at these game films is the best preparation that we can do to get ready for the game before.
Which one, Tommy? This last play. All right, let's go here. Let's talk about mechanics on this one.
Are you looking at anyone specifically, or?
Yeah, on the sideline. How they handle it on the sideline.
Heads are rolling and 10 feet on.
Number 71 on the New York Giants on a clip. 1st and 10, New York Giants.
I think one of the most important factors of being a good official is being a good Christian and having a good religion, and that's why I feel like it's so important for our crew to go to church together. I feel like when we walk out of church each Sunday, we each have had something that has made us a better person and will make us a better official on that field Sunday afternoon. And it is important, I think, to each and every one of us that we've been to church, not only been to church, but been to church together.
Never wanted to make himself rich or powerful or anything else.
I feel like that the religion that a person has is probably the most important thing that he has.
He came to save us.
The Fellowship of Christian Athletes has meant as much to me or more than anything in my life, and I think the Fellowship of Conference that we've attended at Black Mountain and some of the meetings of Fellowship of Christian Athletes has made this life really worth living.
And if perchance we do not avoid sin, then in heaven's name let us turn to Christ and ask him for forgiveness.
I think, fame comes to a person by accident a lot of times, and wealth is by accident. And when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, the only thing that really matters is what kind of character and what you believe in. And if you don't have something good to hold on to, if you don't have something to stand for, you're going to fall for anything. I may be naive, but the only place that I've known where a man stands up and says he believes in God and Jesus Christ has been in church, except where I've been to Fellowship of Christian Athletes meeting. And some of the great football players in our league, like Norm Evans and Tim Foley and Bob Greasy and Dick Anderson and some of the boys that play for the Miami Dolphins, and Jim Hart of the St. Louis Cardinals and Fran Tarkington and Bart Starr. It really is worth walking 10 miles to hear some of those guys talk. And if you don't believe in God and Jesus Christ after you hear him, you have to be almost deaf. And I think that it's presented to you in such a way in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. This is what we believe in, and this is why we believe in it. And you ought to give it a try. And you're cheating yourself if you don't give it a try.
Right, here we go. Right there. All right, put it down. We're going to... Yes, sir. Good call. That's a good call.
I think you'll see a lot of the pro players on some calls that will protest calls vehemently. And I think in many, many cases, they don't believe they've called or been called correctly when it's been just an absolute flagrant violation.
All right, go get it. That's what two men put it that way. It's a good call. Both of them. Good call. Good call.
And I think you have to realize that these kids are really playing for not only the money, but for the pride in the game, and that they really believe that they didn't do that. And I think you've got to treat them with respect and just say, that's it. It's been called. There's no appeal to that decision. We're going right on.
I told you to watch his hands. He hooked it with his hands. You've got to tell the corner man. You didn't tell me. Now, the corner man. All right, not me. You tell the corner man.
I had my toe stepped on in a game, which I'd broken a number of years ago, and gosh, when I took my shoe off, it was a little bloody, and I thought, getting ready to complain, and I looked over at Gordon. He was taking his shoe off on the same leg that he'd hurt his knee on, and it was just completely purple. And so my toe stopped hurting after I saw his foot. So there are a number of severe injuries, and we've had men who hurt their Achilles tendons and broken bones. I've been very fortunate in the years I've been there. I've just had two small cracked ribs and broken toe and dislocated thumb. But it's not a place for faint-hearted people. If you're not going to be on top of the play within 1 second, or you're not going to do a good job. We may not make it every time, but we strive, I think, to have one of the six cover that play within 1 second. It's kind of like driving down a highway 90 miles an hour and the speed limit's 55 and you see a police car, the first thing you do is take your foot off the gas. If the official is on the spot at the right time and those players see him there, they're not going to come in there and pile on, get a penalty, hurt themselves, or hurt their own teammates. So we feel like it's most important to cover the plays, and so you're going to get accidentally hit every once in a while. And we have no padding on, and we're not quite as young as we used to be, and I think are a little bit more susceptible to injuries than the players are. So I would think that you're very lucky if you go through the season without having a severe injury.
Leave the best team win. Leave us all have a good day today. God bless.
Let's go. Good game.
Hats, flags, whistle and guts.
A good game.
Just like on the fourth down fumble rule inside the 10.
Quarterback or a player throws a forward pass.
This does not apply to
Only the runner that
Even though it happens during that interim,
the second forward pass.
fumbles it inside the 10
we still have a foul during a pass situation.
Spot of the pass.
can advance it unless it's touched by the defense if one of his teammates recovered.